Welcome back to the channel. This channel is all about taking walks in the countryside inspired by medieval documents and anglo-saxon documents in particular. And today I'm in Fovant in Wiltshire, and that means Fobba's font, the spring, the place where water wells up. I'm heading up there next. There is an Iron Age fort on top of it called bloody hell, what's it called? It'll come to me in a second. Anyway, 1,000 years ago it's called Chiselbury today, and 1,000 years ago it was called Chiselbury, and there's another name for it which is even more entertaining. It's high summer now, and that baking that baking drought we had is over. We're getting intermittent rain with sunny spells. It's 14 degrees today, and quite frankly it is easier to walk up and down hills in weather like this. But we mustn't wish the good things away. Now, font sounds a bit fancy as a word. It doesn't sound like proper English, and of course it's proper English, but its origins is Latin, and then it went through Welsh and then came through to English. Now there are a few places, but not many in England that have font in them. The font in Fovant has turned into a V because it's in the middle of a word, and in Old English an F in the middle of the word becomes a V, which is why we say leaves instead of leafs. But yeah, so it should be suspicious to us. Red flags should go up when we realise that an English place name has Latin in it. It suggests, and I think I'm not the only one to say this, Margaret Gelling says every place name with font will have Roman buildings somewhere nearby, and there's been a great big academic pile-on over that statement. But yes, there is a Roman villa in this area, and of all the fonts in this tiny area, Tefont Evius, Tefont Magna, Fovant, I think they're all one big estate at one time, and then some divided. And I think that estate was originally Roman, which is why the Latin has come through to us. This is the sweet chestnut. Look at these long blade-like leaves, and the spiky fruit casing, and those are the chestnuts you eat on an open fire at Christmas. And this is the flower, the remains of the flower. So we only know the old names of places because of the Saxon charters and some older Roman documents, and that's it. The older Roman documents, there's only a few of them, and the Saxon documents in the southwest, the south, we've got hundreds of them, and they tell us on the village level landmark names, and that's what I specialise in showing you on the internet, on YouTube. So we have Saxon Charter that tells us this is Fobba's font, and and we still have that word today, font, font of all knowledge, font in a church, fount, water coming out of a fountain. The fount of all knowledge, it's water springs out of it. But it also tells us some other stuff about this landscape. So at the end of the charter, the boundary charters of these things go and do a perambulation. And that's perambulation starts and ends in basically a circle. So it starts at a spring, but it ends at the nodder, the nodder, and I'm supposed to be going along that edge there. We've got something in the way, got a fence in the way. But anyway, yeah, so then the nada is the nada today, so that's at least 1,000 years old. One commentator mentioned that the nada is British, but nada in Old English is snake, is the adder, and it lost its N because people said an adder all the time, and they said it so often so quickly that an adder became a nada, or the other way round. No, the other way round. But you know what I'm saying. So so it is entirely feasible to call a river after a snake. So I don't know why it has to be ancient Celtic when it can be English. But I'll do some more research when I get back. That was I just found that out before it came out. But anyway, this Saxon charter, this is called Green Drove, and it's for driving cattle down to water, to market, wherever. It comes up this hill here, up this. It's still the same lane, and comes up from the nada here. The charter says it'll come up from the nodder to the, well, there's two charters, which is going to be relevant for later on. But anyway, come up to the. On this charter it goes then, so then down to Harnan Worth there. So it's the Worth, the outlying farm of the hen, the wild birds, the hens, and you confused. I got them. I didn't spot the difference between Haran and Harnan, but also there is today there's a bit called wild fowl copse or something like that. So it remembers the old the wild bird thing. There's also two field names with Warse on them. Warus with an R in there might suggest a remembrance of the word worth. Worth is used much more often up north. It can suggest an old settlement, and indeed on the other charter, the other Saxon charter, almost precisely the same as this, its description, calls it the Aldenworth. Now that should be of interest to archaeologists if they are. Us toponymists are interested in such things as well, but we need archaeologists to, with their spades, to actually see whether or not there is a settlement. A worth could just be a field. But we think, especially with, we've got two names for the same worth. We've got Harnan, the wild bird, and the Aldan, really, really old worth. And if it does tend to suggest there might be a really old settlement predating the English one down in the valley. Sorry, that's the well is the Harnan well, the wild bird spring. The other charter says not to the well, it says go up to the Harran hazel, which is the grey hazel, the grey that I was talking about. So This hill in the second charter is Ern Hill, Ern Hula, and on the face of it, that is Eagle Hill, and that's an entertaining and figurative, a nice image for us to hold. We do, however, at the bottom of the hill, and I've shown you before in another video, probably about 3 years ago, there is a ford, there is a bridge now called Catherine Ford Bridge, and in the 1603 that was Cat Erne, which means the cat's cottage. So if that urn is the same as the urn of this hill, and they're only a few hundred metres apart, but instead of eagle it would be the dwelling hill, cottage hill, and but it doesn't have to be. You can have similar sounding things together and they have different meanings. That will of course confuse the locals. But what I'm suggesting is that researchers, you landscape investigators like me, look at the surroundings, not just the thing you're looking at, the parish you're looking at. I think this is the mistake of people doing this sort of research, if they don't also put the same amount of effort into the parishes around the parish you're looking at, because you will get clues to put things into context. So land use has changed. So I'm in the position of very often defending farmers against the stupidity of a bureaucracy that doesn't understand what they do. So the bureaucracy has banned animals from drinking from rivers, but the farmers don't do that anymore, because since the 19th century they've been pumping water up to the top fields. They don't need to do it. So I'm against, a curse on, a pox on both your houses is the way I see it. So of course if you're pumping water you don't need to pay. That is cheaper than the labour of a shepherd or a neat herd, and it is, so that's why they do it. It's just, so at least once a day, I'd probably more, I'm just guessing, you would need to take your animals down to the local river, let them drink, and then take them back up to graze or take them into the barn or whatever. But that is now not done. So when you do get an organic person or a sustainability person who wants to do it the old-fashioned way and is going to provide the labour themselves, they can't do it. But yeah, so that old world is gone. There's me defending it. I'm behind the times too. Well, look at that, greystones it's called. I think this might be the Worth. It might also be the Stan Mare, because it's got the stone thing. But it is a settlement. I wonder what it was they did here. You've got loads of 19th century or early 20th century cottages there. Or over here. Was there a mine? Something like that. Or maybe it was just a massive landed estate. God damn it, that's going to hurt. One of the charters says go up to Siegwinner's ditch, which I think is in the brush over there. The other one says go to the Herepað. The Herepað is. Now, Delahook, which is one of the big names in interpretation of charters, misses that Herepað off her map. And I can't read her mind, but I suggest she does that because there's another Herepað at the top of this hill here. Herepað can be sometimes a synonym for ridgeway. So that road over there isn't on a ridge. I thought he was looking at the map, but this is another advantage of coming out into the field to have a look. As you can see, it's not quite at the bottom of the valley, but it is not at the top of the valley either. I wouldn't call it a ridgeway. I think you would keep your feet dry. It basically, the route, that is the A30. Now the route does follow the ridge above it, but obviously cuts off those bits that it doesn't need to go down. So you can see there's coombs cutting into the ridge along its length. Now when all this land was forested and you needed to get from place to place, you would ask a local how to get to Sarum, whatever they called it 4,500 years ago, which could have been Sarum, by the way. And he would say, follow the ridge, keep the ridge to your left, where it falls away. Just keep it to your left and you'll get there eventually, and you would. But after a while you'd learn to shorten your journey, to make shortcuts. You would learn where to cut bits off and then get back onto the ridge later on. And I think this is one of those shortcuts here. So it could be a ridgeway. It's just a more efficient version, iteration of it. Now, why would you have two? You've got a main cross-country route there, the A30, and you've got at the top of this hill, just a couple hundred yards as the crow flies, you've got another one, both going in the same direction. Surely some mistake. Well, they go to different places. This is another advantage of looking at the context of the landscape. The A30 goes to Wilton. That ridgeway up there goes to Salisbury. Now you might in your mind think of Wilton and Salisbury being the same places, but they're not. Salisbury's importance dies away with the growth of Wilton. So you might be looking at anglo-saxon modernity there. That it is a new world of opportunity in a new town further down the road from upstream from Salisbury. And this also explains why the Roman road that goes through Groveley Wood and goes on its way probably to Mendip and to the lead there, why it diverts down the hill to become the Ox Drove. You might see me and Tweedy goes down it as well. It goes up it on one of his videos. The Ox Drove, why does it deviate away from the Roman road? Well, the Roman road goes straight to Sarum, Old Sarum, and that is nobody in the Middle Ages or later lived there. It's only like the last couple of hundred years that the city of Salisbury's expanded. So you might ask yourself, why does this road go this route? And there are economic, social, political and religious reasons for that. And by examining, by looking at the geography, you can get some sort of measure of that. far distance is Grovely Wood, and there is a Roman road that goes to Old Sarum along there. But part of it becomes the Ox Drove and then heads down the side of the hill to Wilton, because Wilton is at the bottom of the hill, and Old Sarum is in a straight line along the top of the ridge, and then down to the river, to the Wiley. And so just thought I'd point that out. But over this side you've got a Herepað, which is Old English for army path, and but its true function is a highway. May have been royalty that maintained it, and because it's a ridgeway, it also coincides with Iron Age hill forts, of which I'm standing on one here, and there's too much wind here, you're not going to hear me at all, are you? Behind me you might be able to see a slade coming up that's a sharp valley coming all the way up to this ridge, and in yesteryear, 1,000 years ago, that was called Chiselbury, and this is named after this hill fort just here, 50 yards away from the mouth of the neck of the slade is Blædbyrig, and it has another name which is Chiselbury, and yes, you heard that right, Bloodbury. I don't know why. That's some remnant of some battle that was remembered, some remnant of the memory of some battle or whatever, but its name today is Chiselbury, and that's probably the remnant of Chiselbury, and it's just been corrupted into that form. But it shows how the ancestors saw this landscape. They didn't think of that as being in. So that's got a name of a different manor now. I've forgotten the name of it, but because it's not in this parish, it's in another one. It doesn't connect today with the castle, but did back then. They saw it. They saw it as the same place. The charter also says. One of the charters also says, 30 year to 30 year over is some burials there, the Blædbyrig, and you can tell why English got confused between Bury, a fortified settlement, and burial and barrow. It all got very confused because Blædbyrig means burials, Byrig means fortification, and it's daft of them to have two different things with similar sounding names, but it's they are, after all, excavations, mind, so there may have been a semantic link there. I've been trying to get fit. I am losing a little bit of weight, but it's climbing up this hill was a ball ache, I have to say, and it's a bit of a pain stopping to film all the time as well, because I've wanted to come here for a long time because it is an enigmatic place on the map. but and I just want to take it all in and just sort of have a lie down, and you know, in the green sward, and but it's not. I've got to get this bloody filming done. You have to. I end up doing when I'm filming. I end up doing like more than 50 little clips, which have to be assembled, which isn't all that hard, but it's assembling in a way that isn't that doesn't make me look demented in my logic. You will find from time to time some of my videos, and you will go, yeah, that didn't quite make much sense. And the reason for that is that I get very, very tired, both in the walking about, and sometimes I'll spend up to 15 hours doing editing of one video. It's mostly the map animation that takes up the time. But I tend to get so exhausted that I go, sod it, that's it, I'm uploading now. And one or two things might not make 100% sense. And that's the real challenge for publishing anything, is a beginning, a middle and an end, and one long stream of thought where you take an idea and you take it to its conclusion, making sense as you go along. And that's not all that easy to do. So I'm not calling this the ridgeway, I'm calling this a ridgeway, and it has a Saxon name, the Herepað, and it's actually very enjoyable to walk down. It's well surfaced, and there's a nice breeze, there's plenty of shade from the sun, and the going is easy. By going along a ridgeway to get anywhere, they were the highways for the motorways for thousands of years, because once you go downhill you get stuck in mud, you have to cross rivers, you get hassled by villagers, you are safer where there's plenty of witnesses around. You personally are, but your property might not be safer. There are distractions, pubs, and you know, the flesh pots of England. And if you're trying to run a business, you know, say you've got 100 sheep with you and you're trying to take them to Salisbury to market, get the best price you can, or the king wants them, you owe them to him, and every village you go past one sheep goes missing, you head up onto the hills where there isn't anybody, only other travellers, and that's why. Plus you can see where you are, you can see where other things are, you can see other people coming. I'm off the ridgeway now, heading down to Fovant village. Not so much to do any explorations, but just to see if I can find myself a nice cream. And this is an interesting, well, it's mostly hawthorn. I can't think of any economic usage for hawthorn. Could you call it a spinny? I normally think of, they are spiny. I suppose it could have been laid, it could have been planted for grouse and other hunting birds to lie low in. That could have been its economic use, but it's not. Is disapprove the right word? I do disapprove, but should I go on the internet and say so? Is, you know, because it's really important in the countryside you mind your own business. But because if you don't mind your business, other people won't mind theirs. And when that happens, you just, you know, people won't turn a blind eye. So it's quid pro quo. These are known as ivers, and they come from the Old English ouvres, over, and they are you get them field names being ivres, but they're called that because it is where the brow of the hill, where it goes steeply down at that point, and it is related to that word over. It is going over the top.